Namaste. Prayers and meditations. Today we take up a prayer dated May 22nd, 1914. So, there is in life a mystic interchange which takes place behind the scenes because all life is one. We think we are all separate containers, but we are porous containers, so to say. So, all the time, out of us, energy, consciousness, thoughts, feelings are going into the mass, and we are also receiving. Whatever we release, we receive because it comes back full circle, and it also means that there is a predilection. So, the kind of thoughts we have are the kind of thoughts we also begin to receive, or that states of consciousness. In yoga, this is a horizontal commerce that goes on. So energy is released, gets circulated, come back. Energy released, go back and come back. And it takes place at several levels. There is a physical interchange between people who live very closely, physically, intimately. So when people live in the same house, when they are in the same room, when they sleep on the same bed together, then there is a tremendous interchange that takes place because right the matter is coming into contact with another matter, and imprints on matter are very, very strong. They are not, at least for one life, they are very strong imprints, and that's why one is advised in all spiritual practices to be careful people with whom you are going to spend your life. And in olden times the way was that you have a grahast ashram, so there is only one person with whom you are coming in very close physical contact. And that's how the concept of family. Because people with whom you live physically, you start growing into the likeness of each other. Not just inwardly, even the faces begin to resemble. If you really, it's a known thing. Some people, you will see that husband and wife, their faces begin to resemble each other because of this kind of closeness. So physical interchange is one kind of thing. Now this is only to understand that when we have a certain kind of interchange with people, we should know that knowingly, unknowingly, we are just getting into their vibrations, and we are now. It's not about good and bad. It's just to understand this knowledge. Good and bad depends upon what perspective we take and what is our journey and what is our goal. If you want to remain what we are, it's perfectly fine. Animals live together like that as, flock of sheep and herds. So it's okay. Then there is another interchange which takes place at a vital level, in which all the vital forces of desires, hopes, fears, ambitions, attractions, repulsions, all these are circulating, catching, coming. They are like, things thrown out. If you have the occult vision, you will see attractions are like literally, things which go out, thrown, catch and bring. It's like, have you seen that plant which throws, tentacles and catches an insect? And there is a tree which actually, if you go near the tree, it grows tendrils and catches you and crushes you to death. You can't get released. So it's like that. Actually, it's a very subtle thing. It's a interchange which goes on in life with all kinds of things, smile, gestures, what is called as hava bhav. This, I'm not saying anything which is mine. It's a knowledge which is, you can testify to it, and Sri Aurobindo has spoken about it. These are all mystic interchanges, or rather occult interchanges will take place. This is not that we shut ourselves into an ivory tower. This is just to understand how life operates. Just an understanding. Then there is a mental interchange. So there are people with whom we discuss, animated discussions. So we take on their. Have you ever experienced that when somebody is very angry and you are in a good state and the anger is between that person and someone else, you go near and you catch the anger. There is a very nice Hindi phrase for it. Koile ki dalali mein haath kala. Isn't it? If somebody is dealing with coal and if you go there and say, okay, I'll tell you what rates are better. You have nothing to do with it. But you start doing it, you are just a middleman. And you actually smudge your hands. So it happens. Similarly, company of people who are afraid, it will bring fear into your mind. Unless we are very strongly individualized. If you are very strongly individualized, then it's a different matter altogether. But in yoga, this interchange is no more at a horizontal level, it's in vertical interchange. So what is the vertical interchange? Now this interchange is profit and gain, gain and loss, gain and loss. You gain few things, you lose few things. It's going on. Obviously, if you are a more developed person and having a interchange with somebody who is much less developed, then you are at a loss, much loss. But in yoga, the interchange is the other way around. And there it's very simple. You are in a win-win situation, not that it should be done for this purpose. And if there is anybody who is at a loss situation, this is God. But this is a play he started with self-loss. So he said, I'll have the play, but I'll lose myself. So he can't help it. So this mystic interchange means that we invoke the divine presence. The divine presence comes and it starts working in our consciousness. Meaning thereby that what happens to God is his side of the story, but subtly we begin to become divinized because his consciousness begins to enter and start working upon our brain, our heart, our liver and kidneys, everything, the stomach, the abdomen and the limbs, everywhere, because this is how it operates. Now matter is generally the fortress of the hostile, so it doesn't easily change, but the process of yoga is the same. So every time we read Mother and Sri Aurobindo, what are we doing actually? We are the whole eyes, brain, all these things, and from the brain everywhere else. So what we are doing, we are entering into a mystic interchange with the divine. In fact, any uplifting spiritual literature, but Mother and Sri Aurobindo, because consciously they spoke about the physical transformation, worked upon it. So in their consciousness by its very nature, if you may say so, is a consciousness which turns towards life to divinize it. Unlike there are mystic literature which if you read, you develop the sense of otherworldliness. I remember reading Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, I was mentioning, wonderful book, one of the most wonderful books I have read. But you start feeling at the end of it so otherworldly. You just feel that, all this is nonsense, just love of God is wonderful. And there is a power in it. Why? Because it's about somebody who in his love for God was ecstatic. But his body couldn't bear it. But here, Sri Aurobindo and the mother, their consciousness is a consciousness which combines the higher and the material reality. So when we open to Mother and Sri Aurobindo, that consciousness begins to work upon us. So by invoking them, by aspiring for them, by calling Mother's name, by reading their works, through Savitri, through prayers and meditation, there is an atmosphere around us of their reality. And it's a tremendous power. We may not know it, but I can tell you that just keeping the book Savitri, I know of people and my own experience also about this, that if you just keep Savitri by your side, nothing, you have not read it, you don't understand it. But I can tell you that, all these forces will think 100 times before coming near. They just won't come near. It has such a power. And I'm not saying this just to turn it into a belief system. Please try it and see it. It is so powerful. Just keeping Savitri by your side. Whenever there is a kind of fear attacking you, just keep Savitri on your chest. And you see how it vanishes. I'm not even speaking of reading. What reading can do is a much greater thing. We may not realize. For us it's a book. But for the forces, they know. It's not a book. It reminds me of one little incident after which we'll read the prayer. Somebody had gone to a Jyotishi, astrologer, carrying Sri Aurobindo's book, The Mother, in his hand. So it's a wonderful book, but this astrologer had this intuitive faculty and he saw the book and he said, "Oh, Bhagwaner boy." He didn't know about Sri Aurobindo, but he understood that this book is not an ordinary book. This book is God's book. So there are people who can see it in that vision, and there are so many examples. So just carrying Mother and Sri Aurobindo, not just picture and blessing packet of course, but just a book, it is so beautiful. And again, please don't turn it into a religious belief system. Not that it matters. These are all ways of looking at it. But then, this belief system is better than the vaccine belief system. At least it is something which is substantial and of a different order of reality. So we'll read something about this kind of invocation. And we must also understand what is this work that is going on in Sri Aurobindo's yoga. The work that is, because people suddenly, what is Mother doing? People are dying and Mother is here to give a permanent remedy. Enough of those halfway homes of the spirit. That, I pray and I become all right and oh, such a grace. My child has to get admission and gets admission, oh, wonderful grace. I put money in the stock market and pray to God and the stock market, blooms, booms, whatever it is. And I say, see, God's grace is with me. Somebody is crashed, by the way, because of God's grace upon you. It's not about that. That's not how the divine plays the game. Divine is playing the game with only one intention. It is to divinize matter for which human beings are the intermediary. And if he sometimes seems to succumb to our wishes or grant our wishes, it's only so that we draw nearer and nearer. He too plays the bait game. So you want to, you want to be baited, so sometimes this is okay. So you say, God, give me money, he says, okay. God, my child, okay. God, my grandchild. Now then it becomes, how long you'll be just child, grandchild. But he starts with the bait game. Artharthi. After some time you say, who is this guy who is always looking after me and listening to me? With this intention, he sometimes grants us the inferior play. This is the inferior play. He's not here for wish fulfillment. He's not here for just, saving us every time. That is yes. But that's not his ultimate job description. That's only a part-time job of God. Because if this was his only job, then nobody would ever die. There is some other job, which is his main job description, and that is to divinize clay, and for which man is an intermediary. So this prayer, like many of the prayers of the mother, we see are so beautiful. When we have, May 22nd, 1914, when we have discerned successively what is real from what is unreal, in all the states of being and all the worlds of life, when we have arrived at the perfect and integral certitude of the soul reality. So the first step is to successively discern. Kain Upanishad. How to discern? We start with saying this. This is not me. This aggregate of matter, this little surface personality about which we keep saying Jai Ho, Jai Ho. At least in India, one thing good is that, we keep saying Jai Ram Ji ki Jai Ma. That Jai is only belongs to... Though it's a different thing. After saying that, next we want Hamari Jai Ho. And if God helps us in our Jai, then we say God. If there is Parajay, we say what kind of God, That beautiful experience of Nirodha. He was playing against an opponent and he asked Sri Aurobindo, Lord, I want your blessings. Sri Aurobindo smiled. Give me your force. He smiled. But he lost the game. He came and complained to Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo said, what to do? Your opponent prayed to mother. And who is mother? She is my force. If you pray only to me, you will receive 25%. Sri Aurobindo's words. But if you pray to the mother, you will receive 100%. So this was his way, humorous way of reminding us that, look, turn to her, she is the one. So she is showing us the way. First step is discern. Don't start by saying all is God, all is God. Very confusing. All is God. I have stolen somebody, it's not me, my hand has stolen. Then you will be one day caught in Saudi Arabia where they'll chop off the hand. Then don't say that, I am being chopped. If you call God, why are you allowing me to go through this? He said, no, not you. My child, it's only your hand which is being chopped. So we should not play that kind of a game with God. We should say that to start with, this body is not me, this life is not me. There is a life behind this life that is the true reality. Mother's prayer. You who are the life of my life, the light of my intelligence. Oh, I am very intelligent. But God, you are there. When I have a problem, please solve it for me. No, we have to live with this idea. All intelligence is nothing but not even a ray, a particle of light from her. Life. You are my life. And what is this life? This is a frontal manifestation of the life which is behind life. What is this body? It's a little projection in time and space of one body. The cosmic body of the Lord, the Virat Purusha. So first is to discern. First step, Kain Upanishad, Yan mansana manute, yena hur manomatang, tadeva brahmantam viddhi, nedam yadidam upasate. That which the mind cannot know, but that by which the mind is known, know that to be the Brahman and not this that men seek hereafter. Sri Aurobindo speaks of this, that Kain Upanishad is the first step. It's like up to graduation you will go with that. If you want to do post-graduation, then comes Isha Upanishad. So first step is successively discern what is real from not real. And all this is practice, not like getting into arguments. Oh, but this is also real. My senses. Normally, people don't use the word senses. No, but how can we then keep debating for a whole lifetime? Are this is reality of the senses. Senses have constituted. What is meant by the real is the soul reality. There are constructs of reality, like a mind constructs realities, opinions, viewpoints, imagination. When our imagination constructs a reality and gets trapped into it, is it real or unreal? Somebody who doesn't have the same imagination will say you are imagining. But the person will say, but I have seen the booth. It is real for that person. So when we get into these debates, the simple answer is reality is multi-layered, but all this is not the sole reality. They are all projections which are constantly changing. Illusion in the sense they are distortions, not non-reality. So we must understand that they are constructs, constructed reality. And if we want to live in that, our choice. Then it's not yoga. We can live forever in the sensory reality, regarding that as the only reality. And even the scientists know that sensory reality is just a construct. So she says, first step is to discern what is real from what is unreal in all the states of being. In physical body, in life, all the levels of life, in mind, in thought, everything. Till we arrive at the perfect and integral certitude of the soul reality. Integral certitude. At every level it is that reality. Not, just a cut-off certitude. Everything in this creation is held by that reality, which is the utter, ultimate reality. That's why in Ikenopanishad it doesn't stop only with the mind. It says, that which the eyes see not, but that with which the eyes can see. That which the ears cannot hear, but that by which the ears can hear. So you see, there is an integral reality. It's not just a reality which is cut off from this world. Then what do we do after that? First step. After we have arrived at this, we must turn our gaze from the heights of this supreme consciousness towards the individual aggregate, which serves as the immediate instrument of thy manifestation upon earth, and see in it nothing but thee, our sole real existence. Look at the next step. So practical it is. First find the integral reality of the divine, the sole integral reality. Then look upon the body. Not that it is me. It's not me, because I have discovered me is who? There is only one I, and we are waves of that I. Then turn our gaze. What is this body? This is an individual aggregate which you have created for your work, your manifestation. So that is the next step. And what is it? You are the one who is this with all the various dresses you have worn. There I see you in your splendor. Here you are clothed. So many clothes you are wearing. Thus, and see in it nothing but thee, our sole real existence. Thus each atom of this aggregate will be awakened to receive thy sublime influence. And when we thus see, then the yoga of transformation starts. That's why Sri Aurobindo says, our yoga starts where other yogas end. First, finding the divine is the first very thing. We can't start by saying all is God, all is God. So everything that we do is God. It's almost like a child in nursery saying that, I have seen A for aeroplane. So I am expert at, flying an aeroplane. No, you don't even know what is an aeroplane. First time when you had seen the aeroplane, remember old times when people saw from the ground and saw aeroplane and what it looked like. Itna chota hota hai, it's so small. And then first I remember the aha moment. So going, Patna airport, there used to be, first time I saw 3 aircrafts on the train. Much later, I didn't know that time that it will be Air Force, I'll join. So when I saw, I said, oh, this is so big. But still it was like, that small thing creature has become so big. But when you actually sit inside it, then it's a different thing. So God is also like that. From afar, from near, from actually entering. So we should try to enter. From afar is like God is some kind of book we have read. Go and see him from near. Wonderful it is. And then sit inside, most comforting. Nestle into his arms. So, this way, when you see from there this body that looks, or this individual aggregate, then it begins to become awakened to thy sublime influence. The ignorance and the darkness will disappear not only from the central consciousness of the being, but also from its most external mode of expression. That's what this yoga is about. It's not enough that inwardly I know God, but in all my life, that's the old yoga, where it didn't matter what you do, how you think, how you speak. Why? Because you have realized the self. And therefore you are egoless free. After that, you say, but why the food has less salt in it? And why you are being so harsh to me? That is the old yoga. You realize the self, the rest doesn't matter. But in this yoga, this too must change. So every expression should be perfect. Be it speech, be it gesture, be it attitudes towards life, be it the very bodily movement. The body should spontaneously repel illness. It should reach that point. It doesn't even have to think and try anything. Illness enters, the body spontaneously repels, because that's the kind of power which is within it, and it has to be awakened. And all these challenges are meant to do that. So, not only within, but even in the external mode of expression. It is only by the fulfillment, by the perfection of this labor of transfiguration. It's a long process. Why? Because it's not just one. When you look at this aggregate, mind space, life space, heart space, physical space, each cell, it's a big labor. To realize the divine in the central consciousness is the easy part. In fact, in this yoga, it takes place actually relatively much more easily. Because after that, you have to start the real thing, no? So, that is hardly any labor, because he is right there. It's already there. Divine is right there. How Sri Aurobindo says in one of his simple letters, a veil behind the heart, a lid above the head. That divides us from the divine. So, what is to be done, sir, about it? Love and devotion rend the veil. In the mind, silence, the lid thins out and vanishes. So, very simple, two things we have to do: love and devotion for the Lord, and quietude of the mind. Then all is God. That wonderful splendor. It's not a difficult thing. I mean, compared to human life, you spend so many 20 years, people spend earning money, after which they realize they can't spend it because they have all the ITs. So, but finding God means forever, it is something permanent. So the first step is to find Him. But after that, not that I live in this, turn toward this aggregate. It is only by the fulfillment, by the perfection of this labor of transfiguration. That is a labor, real labor, exacting labor, painstaking labor, that there can be manifested the plenitude of thy presence, thy light, and thy love. Which is what is the goal of this yoga. To manifest. This whole yoga is about manifestation. But manifest what? Even now there is manifestation, but an ignorant manifestation. We can manifest only what we are within. And we can enjoy only that which we are within. This is the law of life. So when Mother was asked about love of different kinds, she gave it several definitions. But she said, it is childishly simple. If you have the consciousness of the animal, your love will be like an animal's. If you have the consciousness of a human being, your love will be like a human being's love. If your consciousness is like a god, your love will be like a god. And of course, if your consciousness is like the divine, then the love will be like divine. She says it's childishly simple. Change your consciousness, everything that flows will be expression of that. So ultimately it is that which matters, this change of consciousness, which yoga wants, and then to let it flow into life. Lord, Thou makest me understand this truth ever more clearly. Lead me step by step on that path. So simple life can be. Acha, how to do now? Next step. Where should I read? I don't know how to read Life Divine. It's very complicated. Simple. Say, Ma, lead me. Do we really believe that she won't listen? We have put barriers between us and her. Just to say, Ma, just take me step by step. Surely she will take. She is more keen, more than us. That's how Sri Aurobindo says, it's the truth of mystic experience. She will 10,000 times come, because this is what she wants. Ma, take me from step to step. She will come, hold our hands. She will take us. Sometimes we may not realize because we don't even understand her ways. So we may think, Mother, I asked you to take, yes, I'm taking you. But Mother, this scene, don't worry. That's my way. Now it's no more your way. We are used to that in life, no? My way or highway. With God, every way is His way. Not highway, but His way. So He says, I'll take you. So that's how she will lead us step by step. The step by step on that path is not she will suddenly appear and say, sit for meditation 2 hours a day in this posture. That's not. Every activity of life, Sri Aurobindo describes this, no, in synthesis. Every little event and circumstance, everything in life will become a means to open that bud and let it bloom. This is how the divine operates. Integrally. Not like, okay, when he is meditating, then I will come and teach him how to meditate. Every little thing he will be there. Let every obstacle, my whole being down to its smallest atom aspires for the perfect knowledge of thy presence and a complete union with it. This is the aspiration. Right down to the atom, cells. At least we can do till the organs. At least the body consciousness, the Vedic rishis did till there. We can aspire for that. Let this body be flooded and filled with thy light, thy peace. Then into the cells, push it into every organ, whichever is paining, aching, into the cells, into every atom of existence. Let every obstacle disappear. Let thy divine knowledge replace in every part the darkness of thy ignorance. A wonderful aspiration when you read the Mother. It's not like inside I've realized God, but all this is all, somebody else has to tell me. He is the all-knower. He knows everything about everything. That is how the Upanishad describes him. Yasmin vigyate vigyati sarvam. By knowing him, one can know about everything. And so when we hand over that in the least atom, I want your knowledge to replace the ignorance. So there is freedom from all error. Even as thou hast illumined the central consciousness, the will in the being, enlightened to this outermost substance. This is how the Yoga of She has given us all the key to the transformation process. Outermost. So that means one will enter into these domains, consciousness will go there, invoke her there. And let the whole individuality, from its first origin and essence to its last projection, first origin and its essence is divine. We all know that, Soham Asmi. But that knowledge is not enough. From its first origin and essence to its outermost projection, which is what we identify with and think this is me. From its first origin and essence to its last projection and most material body, be unified in a perfect realization of thy soul reality. This is the only task worth doing. Because this is the only ultimate solution and remedy to all these physical problems, psychological problems. Not that, little, we do patchwork. If you have depression, do these things. That is, but if the consciousness changes, there should be no possibility. When you have, now we see all kinds of remedies for physical body. Okay, they are all temporary things. You have faith in kadha, take kadha. If you have faith in vaccine, take the vaccine, whatever. But what is the ultimate remedy? At least there should be some people speaking about it. I was having this little chat with someone here. And the person was saying that, no, but these things, yes, ultimately fear is the one and we should, fear, one must get rid of it, but it's not easy. I said, yes, but this is precisely what we are here to do and try. It doesn't matter whether we succeed or not. At least one place should become a beacon light that this is how we try it. Whether we succeed or fail doesn't matter. At least there will be a collective effort buried in centuries, for centuries in time, which will awaken so many persons. That there was a place where people like that famous Shangri-La worked towards a new approach to life. As the Mother said, we are not here to do what others are doing. We are here to do what others cannot do because they do not know how to do it. So if we go the same old road, so this is what I was saying. Yes, I agree, it's not easy. None of this is easy. Nothing is easy. Life is not easy. Breathing with a mask is not easy. Standing in line to take a vaccine is not easy. What is easy? So let us do anyways the thing we are meant here to do. If one succeeds or doesn't succeed, it's the divine's lookout. But at the end, when we leave this earth, we'll feel happy that we tried something which seemed impossible. What else is worthy of the effort of mother's child? Not something else which like preserving life like everybody else. That's not worthy of our manhood, our divine manhood. If we are really in our consciousness, we know we are mother's child, we should try something which has never been done before. That is the challenge before us. So, look at the way she is showing us. Nothing is in the universe but thy life, thy light, thy love. This is the consciousness of a yogin. Not the other kind. I keep speaking about Hiranyakaship's gospel and Prahlad's gospel. Nothing but to see the divine behind everything. That is the ultimate. Spirituality, there is a kind of consciousness in which all the occult realms can be annulled. It doesn't matter, asura, dark, bright, nothing. There is God behind everything. And that has a power. Because just imagine there is a dark asuric being behind all this. And you have said God is behind. Now if he turns his head and says, my God, Jagat Janani is standing behind me, he will run away for his life. He will run away for his life because he'll be surprised and shocked. And if he tries to threaten you, smile. He'll say, how come you are smiling? He says, you don't see. You don't see who is standing behind you? Who is standing behind me? I am God. Arey, jara piche to mud ke dekh le. And if he doesn't, she will gently tap the shoulder. Hey guy, this is my child. And then he will say, piche kaun hai? This is the consciousness we should live in. If you really, there is nothing but thy life. What is life and death? They are two modes of one life. Life and death are not opposites. They are two modes of one life. When we are awake in the body, we call it life. When we are awake in the other realms and the form is gone, we call it death. But what is it? It is waking up to other layers of life. This doesn't mean that we should throw the form. That we know that, work is on the form. But there is no death. If we see from spiritual perspective, there is no death. Tell the fellow that you don't exist. So he'll say, yeah, I know. There is a very interesting experience of Mother in Agenda, where she speaks about what is death. All these phantom parts, different. There is no death. It's man's consciousness that had given it such a great reality, huge. He's become fat fellow. Because we have, there is death. Yahi satya hai. I keep reading this, ultimate truth is death. Anyways, after death, they at least say Ram Nam Satya hai. If only they said it while living, probably they will not need to. So this is the whole process which he is revealing to us. Nothing is in the universe but thy life, thy light, thy love. Let everything become resplendent and transfigured by the knowledge of thy truth. Thy divine love floods my being. Thy supreme light is shining in every cell. All exults because it knows thee and because it is one with thee. Everything is capable of uniting with the divine and must unite with the divine, and this is the only effort that is worthy of our manhood. I'll close with these last 3 lines. Nothing is in the universe but thy life, thy light, thy love. Let everything become resplendent and transfigured by the knowledge of thy truth. Thy divine love floods my being. Thy supreme light is shining in every cell. All exults because it knows thee and because it is one with thee.